6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lal Malavarachi and read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. The President says KDU is providing an excellent training and knowledge to the cadet officers. The IMF team will again meet central bank officials today. Sri Lanka is to receive a donation of emergency medicines worth $4 million by the World Health Organization. 3-day dengue cleanup program from September 1st. CAA continues raids on vendors selling eggs at higher prices. News overseas, Ukraine says the occupied nuclear plant briefly disconnected from the grid. And those are the headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says Kotalawala Defence University is providing an excellent training and knowledge to the cadet officers. He stresses that our military heroes should be equipped with the practical knowledge to enable them to fight with future technical warfares. He said future warfares will not only materialize in seas or ground, but probably occur in cyberspace. He made these remarks delivering the keynote address at the colour awarding ceremony at the KDU yesterday. The KDU was awarded with the President Colours and the University Colours, and it was awarded at a function held at the KDU premises this last evening. The President added that in order to make a successful army, they should be provided with better knowledge, discipline, and also a better training. He said the KDU is now providing all these to provide a better military officer to the island. The IMF team will again meet central bank officials today, the President's office said in a statement. The central bank has already raised interest rates, smashed domestic private credit to reduce outflows and restore the credibility of an unstable soft peg, with the US dollar lost after 2 years of money printing and forced dollar sales to the central bank. A float is usually required to end contradictory money and exchange policies and turn the peg around, allowing the central bank to repeg it and buy dollars with domestic credit reduced. Turning the peg around will lead to a gradual fall in interest rates. At the moment, however, the central bank is still intervening in the both directions of the broken peg and interest rates are high. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Sri Lanka will receive a donation of emergency medicines and other medical supplies worth $4 million by the World Health Organization Director General of WHO, Tedros Adhanom, issuing a congratulatory message to the President Ranil Wickremesinghe, has said the preliminary procurement works has already begun in this regard, and Sri Lanka office of the WHO will inform the further details in this regard shortly. The UN Health Agency's chief says that he has asked the WHO Health Emergencies Program to take immediate action to meet the most urgent health needs of the people in Sri Lanka. He has stated that the WHO recognizes the ongoing economic pressures Sri Lanka is facing in addition to COVID-19 related pressure on the health system. WHO chief had also assured that the organization is closely monitoring the situation in Sri Lanka. A 3-day special dengue control program will be conducted from September 1st to 3rd, covering the 60 high-risk medical officer of health divisions. Community medical specialist Dr. Nimalka Panilahetti says this will made these remarks while speaking at a special media conference held yesterday regarding the risk of the spread of COVID-19 and dengue. She said that a divisional inspection will be conducted by dispatching teams with the support of armed forces and the police covering the districts of Colombo, Kaluthara, Galle, Gampa, Kandy, Kegol and Ratnapura. The Consumer Affairs Authority, CAA, has initiated raids in search of the vendors selling eggs beyond the maximum retail price. The officials said that the raids were carried out last 2 days in several areas of the country. 6 such places where eggs were sold at prices exceeding the maximum retail price have been identified in Gampa district, according to the officers of the Gampa district Consumer Affairs Authority. The apprehensions were made in the areas of Udugampula and Negombo. Further, it is reported that 10 shops that have been selling eggs at higher prices were sued during the raids conducted in the Balanguda and Kahawat areas. Among these was a shop attached to Balanguda Cooperative Service. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The proposed interim budget will focus on resolving the economic issues facing the country at present, Urban Development and Housing Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said yesterday. The minister instructed the relevant officials to pay more attention in this regard when preparing the ministerial proposals for the upcoming interim budget. Minister Ranatunga said that all development projects which were halted at present due to the prevailing economic recession will be able to be restarted shortly once the situation is back to normal. The minister made these remarks at a discussion held yesterday with the participation of the ministry officials at the ministry premises regarding the preparation of the interim budget proposals. And that was top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchline, health experts urge people to obtain the booster dose of the COVID-19 vaccine without delay, as the current stocks of the vaccines are set to expire by October 31st. Chief epidemiologist Dr. Samita Ginike says that there are ample stocks of vaccines in the country right now, as the total requirement of the booster doses for people over 20 years had been procured. He said people over 20 years of age are still to obtain the booster dose, and it is vital to obtain the booster dose to prevent from the new variant spreading at present. And that was Watchlight.
A strength to your life. And CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
Moving on to world news headlines. Ukraine says the occupied nuclear plant briefly disconnected from the grid. Japan police chief resigns over ex-PM Abe's assassination. South Korea records the world's lowest fertility rate again. And those are the headlines of the world news. The final pair of working reactors at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant were cut off from Ukraine's power grid yesterday, Kyiv officials say. After being disconnected twice, power to the Russian-controlled site is believed to have been restored. Ukraine's nuclear agency said the problem was caused by nearby fires that damaged overhead electricity lines. It comes amid growing concern over fighting near the complex. Japan's police chief has said he will resign over the killing of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Itaru Nakamura's head of the National Police Agency said he wanted to take responsibility for the July 8th shooting. An investigation has found that there were serious flaws in how the ex-PM was protected. Mr. Abe was shot while speaking at a political campaign event in the city of Nara. South Korea has again recorded the world's lowest fertility rate, with the number sinking to a new low. The rate in the country first dropped lower than one child per woman in 2018, but on Wednesday, figures released by the government showed the figure had dropped to 0.81, down 3 points from the previous year, a sixth consecutive decline. And that was world news. And moving on to development news, the Minister of Agriculture, Mahinda Amaravira, says that a program has been implemented to locally produce the rice needed by the country and make the country self-sufficient in rice. These facts were disclosed at the special news conference held at the Government Information Department auditorium to inform the public about the fertilizer distribution program and the popularization of the maize cultivation in Yala and Mahaseason. The minister stated that the domestic paddy production is sufficient to produce rice needed for the domestic consumption. And that was development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank, we present your future.
England pounced on South Africa's decision to bat first by bowling the Proteas out for 151 on the first day of the second test at the Old Trafford on a day when 13 wickets fell. England saw off some evening pressure to reach 111 for 3, 40 runs behind South Africa, who picked two spinners, gambled on coming through a murky morning, but instead were hustled out. Stuart Broad and James Anderson took 3 wickets each, the latter claiming 2 in 2 balls in his home ground, while Captain Ben Stokes chipped in with a couple. Despite batting in sunshine, England found themselves 43 for 3 and were in danger of repeating the collapse that caused their downfall in the first test at Lord's. Victory would give South Africa an unaccessible lead in the 3-test series, which concludes at Oval in September. And that was sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe has allowed property developers to import tiles for their own use in a Gazette notification after they were banned under a surge of economic nationalism or economic crisis made possible by money printing that broke on exchange rate peg. Imports of tiles and stones for the purpose of direct usage and not for resale has been allowed. Approved condominiums, mixed development projects, approved hotels and government projects not coming under the Board of Investment would be allowed to import the material set in the bill of quantities. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10-second prize winners. iPhones for the 10-third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe says that once the staff level agreement with the IMF is reached, Sri Lanka will approach its external creditors and start discussions in good faith to obtain relief. For that, Sri Lanka needs a financial assurance from external creditors. If external creditors cooperate with the Sri Lankan government on debt management strategy, then we hope to obtain financial assurance. After that, the IMF can submit our papers to the executive board and start disbursing the external fund facility towards the end of this year. And this is the timeline we would like to implement, the central bank governor added. And that was economic news.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
Finally, in the weather report, the Met Department says showers will occur at times in western, Sabarkama and northwestern provinces and in Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Fairly heavy rainfall, about 50 millimeters, can be expected at some places in Sabarkama province and in Kandy, Nuwara and Kaluthura districts. Showers and thundershowers will occur at several places elsewhere during the evening or night. And that was weather report. And to wind up this news podcast, let's look at the main points once again. The President says KDU is providing an excellent training and knowledge to the cadet officers. The IMF team will again meet central bank officials today. Sri Lanka is to receive a donation of emergency medicines worth $4 million by the World Health Organization. 3-day dengue control program from September 1st. CAA continues raids on vendors selling eggs at high prices. News overseas, Ukraine says the occupied nuclear plant briefly disconnected from the grid. And with that, we conclude this morning news broadcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.